Hey everyone, it's Norm Farrar, aka the Beard Guy here, and welcome to another Lunch with Norm, the Amazon FBA e-commerce podcast. Hey, sorry I was running late. I was just on another event called Clickbox. I don't know if you guys have checked it out, but they're doing a virtual summit today. They're running it for a couple days. If you get a chance, check it out. It's really cool. And yeah, the thing about it that was really cool is that they've got this secret box, and I think it's $197, and they've got like thousands of dollars of giveaways in it. So, anyways, we were talking about it in our Facebook group, but check it out. I was just on, that's why I'm late. Sorry, guys. I can't even blame Kelsey on this one. So, anyways, just hung up. We've got a great show. I was talking to you about on Friday about Elena Saris coming back on. One of my favorite people to talk to because I don't even have to talk. She's an attorney, so she can just talk all the time. Anyways, we're going to be talking about overcoming adversity as an entrepreneur, that shiny object syndrome, and she's got a new book out, and we're going to be getting to that right away about that too. Elena Saris, sorry, I got to bring on Kels first. Kelsey, where are you?
Right here. Hello,
Hey,
hello.
Kels, I'm a little frazzled right now because I
I can
literally,
tell.
I just hung up. I just came on and said, okay, sorry, I'm 6 minutes late.
Yeah, we're all good here. Me and Elena took over. We got everything under control. But yeah, welcome everyone. Welcome Jessica Rabbit, Simon, Oleg, Nerlin. It's great to see you. How was everyone's weekends? Put that over into the comments section. Love to know. And yeah, we'll get started in just a few minutes. For those new to the show, this podcast runs every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 12 p.m. Eastern Time. And feel free to ask your questions to our experts on the show or to Norm. We try to get to as many questions as possible throughout the podcast, but if there are questions that we don't get to, just head on over to our Facebook group. That's Lunch with Norm, Amazon FBA, and eCommerce Collective, and someone from our community would be happy to answer. It's a great group over there. It's the Beard Nation, as we like to call it. And yeah, Norm is currently in Texas, in Austin right now, so you'll see he's had some fun hotel stories that we just heard about. But yeah, also, if you're interested in our membership program, this is something that if you want to have small group sessions with me and Norm and some guest lessons from our special group of experts, you can go over to our website, lunchwithnorm.com, and click on the membership area, and you can set yourself up there. Also, Rad, hello, Rad, how are you doing? And let me see, I think that's about everything. Norm, are you doing okay?
Okay, so
I think
you know what?
you need to do one more
I
thing. Can you
I
remember
have to
what
do
that
two more
is?
things because I
Okay.
didn't give Elena justice. So I'm going to do a proper. I'm out of the fetal position. Yes, Simon, I am out. I'm standing back. I've composed myself, and here we go. So we should go right from the start again, and we should just edit the bloody thing, Kelsey. But I'm going to go back and talk about Elena for a second. So Elena Saris, she's a returning guest. She's had 25 years as a deputy public defender. Um, she sold on Amazon. She's got some really incredible stories about why she left. And we'll get into that. I'm not even going to touch on that. But she decided to go and start a very successful Shopify business. And what she's done over the last little while is really amazing. And that's why I wanted to bring her back on. We've talked, about her systems in past podcasts, but now she's got a book out and she's talking about, coming out, getting over those fears and going forward. If something's not working, let's make it right. And so on another note, where am I here? On another note, I do have to give a big thank you, and he's probably listening right now. He's here with me, not on this floor, but to our sponsor, Global Wired Advisors. So I'm here with Chris Schifferling, And he's an awesome guy. But check out Global Wired Advisors, a leading digital investment bank focused on optimizing the business sales process. For more information, talk to Mr. Schifferling and his team over at globalwiredadvisors.com. All right, I think that's it. Let's just get into this because we're running so late. Comments over to the right. Sit back, relax, grab a cup of coffee. Where are you, Elena? Oh my gosh. There you go.
Hey there, how are you?
I'm doing great. Well, now I'm doing okay, but for the last 11 minutes, we probably lost about 99% of the listeners, but it's okay. It's okay. So you've got about one person listening right now, and that's Kels.
Okay, that's great. That's great. I like that. I used to do stand-up comedy, and no matter how many people were in the room, I would always say, thank you both for coming, because sometimes we're a little thin.
Yeah. Oh, so let's do a proper intro. So for those of us who don't know you, can you just give a quick 1-2?
Quick one too. Well, I've been a criminal defense attorney for 30 years, and I'm semi-retired, about to finish up my very last case, I think, although I will still consult. I did.
It's been going on for years, by the way.
3.5 years, almost. Yeah, a little over 3 years right now. But the client was facing a double homicide, looking at the death penalty, and I got both murder charges dismissed, and she'll probably plead out at the end of this month for 6 years. So I think it's a pretty good win to go out on.
So Amazon suspensions aren't really that bad when you have to deal with that, right?
This is the funny part. Every time, any part of my life, whether it be like relationships or coming into the online world, it's really hard for me to get upset about a lot of things. It's like, I know people who are living their life in a metal cage right now. So if we're, caught in traffic, I'm really all right with that. If that one product didn't sell, I'm still going to sleep in my own bed tonight and don't have to have a bologna sandwich every day for the next 10 years. So yeah, it gives you perspective for sure.
I want to talk about your book. Let's get right into
my
that.
Book?
Oh, hold it.
Book. Oh my gosh. So I held this up. I have to just tell the story because I could not stop laughing. I Zoom every week with my 86-year-old uncle who's a retired priest, and I was telling him about my book. My book is called Quitting is an Option, Leaving Your Job and Starting Your Online Business. Well, somehow he read quilting is an option, and he thought that I was able to leave being a lawyer to become some sort of professional quilter. So no, it's quitting. Yeah, so in case you misread that when I held it up. Not quilting, no. But yeah, I was writing a book actually about, life lessons learned from, 3 decades in the courtroom. And it just occurred to me that so much of what I was talking about had to do with starting a business, and the same ideas about starting a successful business. So I sort of put that aside and just started on this, which is basically showing people whether you're unemployed, underemployed, or, and this is a big one, in a job you used to think was a calling, but that you aren't as rewarded by, fulfilled by anymore, and how to walk away from that. And I don't mean like walking into your boss's office tomorrow and telling him to take this job and shove it, but I'm saying to just extricate yourself from that and understand what the possibilities are for you to make money online.
We met back in Cancun 2016 or 17. You were heavily involved in Amazon, and you had 2 really unfortunate things happen 2 years in a row, which made you shift. And I think that's important that Amazon is not horrible, but they can throw some wrenches at you. And if you don't get around them, if you can't figure out how to get out of it, there's a problem. And you came up with something that was very serious and understandable why you left. So why don't we talk about that? What were those things that happened that were out of your control?
Okay. So yeah. And understand, I got into Amazon in 2014, right? So things were different. People didn't talk about brand building back then. They talked about getting a winning product, right? And putting it up. Yeah. And so my first product, I've talked about this before, was a probiotic supplement that I just put a label on. I didn't even know what a probiotic supplement was. And to tell you how Wild West it was, I was number 2 for probiotic supplement on Amazon for a while, which was, crazy, which would take you hundreds of thousands of dollars today. And it took me about 10, not even 6, 7,000.
Yeah.
But I started to get these smaller products that people weren't going after. And I had a huge stable of them. And one of which was selling very, very well. And I actually had been to China and I had made a tweak to it. So I had pictures of myself in the factory. And I had, I think, 2 really good Christmases where things just went crazy good. And then the next year, just in the fall, somebody just wrote in a random thing saying that I had infringed on something. And I thought, well, this is easy. I've got pictures of myself in the factory. I've got 18 months of inventory things. I've got, letters back and forth about what to tweak. And I think the complaint came in around October, and I had, thousands of units coming in for the fourth quarter, and it got resolved on like December 24th. And so it took me through March of the next year to sell what I would have sold. And cash flow was hard. And I thought, okay, that happens. People talk about it. And then the next year, the exact same thing happened. Where, just again, I had I was selling some silicone, something stupid bakeware, and someone wrote and said it started a fire because they had read that if you do that to your competitor, that Amazon will immediately take the listing down. So there was a lot of, craziness going on. And the second year that it happened, I thought, this is easy because now I have the letters from Amazon saying, oh yeah, sorry, it is your product. Oops. And so this time, I think they gave it back to me. They cut me out October in the middle, and I didn't get it back till like just after Black Friday. So I had like 2 weeks of sales, and I just thought this is not a sustainable model for me. And then I started noticing, because I had a huge stable of like very small items. And I talk about this like in the book. Like I tried to do things that other people weren't doing. I didn't have the cash flow to go after the aromatherapy, like the big, winners that people, the supplements even at that point. So I was going after very small items, a butter dish, a steering wheel cover, but I had many of them, and each of them were making sales every day. So it added up to a lot of money. And I started seeing these brand names that seemed weird that were selling these items for less money than I was able to purchase it for in China, even though I had several connections in China, having traveled there and a business partner from China. And I started telling my friends, like, this is weird. Like, this is not right. Like, I think Amazon is spying on us. And, so I put a couple quotes in the book, like, it's only paranoid if they're not chasing you, right? I mean, it's not paranoia. And sure enough, 2017, Bezos testifies before Congress saying he is scraping third-party seller data to find winning products. And, of course, I can't compete with the buying power of Amazon. And so I said, okay, it's bad enough that I'm giving them a customer list. It's bad enough that I'm giving them a huge percentage of all my sales. Now I am their unpaid research and development department. And again, I wasn't a brand, so it's different than it is now. But I thought, if that's what I'm competing with, it was the first time I really got slapped in the face with the fact that Amazon was a traffic source and not a business.
This book, I was in Asia with you, and and thank you for the scooter, by the way.
Oh, the scooter.
Yes. Anyways, we were in Iwu, and Elena was having a conference. I was there, and all of a sudden these guys were up there talking about Shopify. And I'll let you do the whole story. But anyways, it was like a 23 or 24-year-old guy doing $20 million a year on Shopify. And the reason I'm saying this is that you spotted an opportunity and you went for that opportunity, and which kind of, I believe, led you to where you are right now.
100%.
But there is, like, how do you tell the difference? This is important. How do you tell the difference between a shiny object and an opportunity?
I think this is so important because, we both, I'm sure you were there, sitting in that room where, I don't know, 3,000 people or something were screaming, no plan B. Were you there for that? I mean, that's just plain silly to me. I mean, no plan B. I don't need a fire exit in my house, or, of course we need a plan B. Come on now. Amazon could go away tomorrow. Bezos could get blown up in the moonshot landing or something. I don't know but of course we need a plan B. So I think that I have figured out, like, I always get asked this question, and I finally have sort of been able to say distinctively what I think is the way to tell the difference. you have to have a central goal. And that central goal is not, I mean, obviously our central goal is making a shit ton of money. Okay, fine. And for some people, that's their why. And I salute you. You know, not all of us are, into this. I have this family and children. I just want to live a better, happier life. That's not a central, like, what is it? I want to sell things online to this person or these people. I want to work X amount of hours a day and I want to make this much money. So it doesn't have to get too detailed, but it can't be, I want to be an affiliate marketer. I want to be a Shopify owner. I want to be a public speaker. I mean, you can do all of those things, but you have to do one to the end and one to the end. But when you have that, these things that come up are that you can pivot away from are actually bringing you back to the center of what you started to do, right? I wanted to do something that would get me out of my job and replace my income so that I didn't have to be stressed about money, but I also didn't have to, I made really good money as an attorney, right? Even as a public servant, it was over $200,000 a year. And, for a civil servant, that's a lot of money. And I was living up to that lifestyle. So I wasn't ready to just walk away and start making, $1,000 a month or something extra. I needed, years to get through that. So when Amazon came up, I saw that as an opportunity. But when I realized Amazon was a traffic source and not a business, and this kid gets up on stage and he says, yeah, I did $20 million on Shopify, and he's 23 years old. And I said, what are you talking about? And he says to me, well, I've been doing this for 10 years, Elena, right? that was my favorite, right? And so I realized that I could build a business of my own. And when I saw these guys, and I'm not saying, they looked like if they could do it, anybody could do it, but they were making very, easy to follow, simple ideas. And back then, Facebook advertising was easier, right? And now we're in a position. So fast forward, I have done 7 figures on Amazon, on Shopify now for a couple of years. Apple and Facebook start fighting. So now we're having to pivot again. And it's not like I'm saying, okay, you know what? I don't want to have stores anymore. I absolutely want to have stores, but I'm also understanding now that there's a lot of money to be made in affiliate marketing, and that has the same skills that I have been using in terms of bringing traffic to my own offers. I'm still bringing traffic to other offers, because at the end of the day, aren't we all just bringing traffic to offers? I mean, on some level, that's what everybody online marketing does, is we're trying to find traffic and we're trying to get them to buy whatever it is that we have, whether you're a brand, whether you're, whatever you're doing, you're just bringing traffic to an offer. And so that to me is the difference. If you're just, somebody gets on a webinar and said, this is the best thing ever, you've got to do this. And you're not really listening, but you're seeing like the results and you think, oh, okay, I'll do that. And you jump on that, but you never go through the videos. And then you see another video and someone's saying, this is the best thing and you jump on that. That is shiny object to me. But if you look, like for me, I looked at something recently where I said, this is a thing about YouTube, and I hadn't really explored YouTube. So while the course has something to do with something I'm not necessarily interested in, the information allowed me to diversify where I'm getting my traffic to my stores. Because Facebook is still there. It is just difficult and costly. And so if I can get traffic to my stores from press releases, from influencers, from YouTube videos, then yeah, if someone out there is doing it better than me and I can learn from them, even if their end goal, like if they're selling, like on their influencer channel, they're selling something to, that I don't want to get into as like agency stuff. I don't want to get into agency, but I'm looking at the way they're bringing traffic in and I'm like, you know what, I could use what they're selling to do this. Does that make sense?
It does.
Excellent.
It does. Now we should talk, because I forgot about this. You have a giveaway today.
I do have a giveaway today.
What is it?
I will give the copy of, this is a brand new book. It literally just launched. It's on Amazon. Quitting is an option. If you're feeling very generous and you want to buy it on Amazon, please type in something for search and find that you might, have to go to page 70 to find. But this is how it looks. It's a really cool cover. And if you're not, you just type quitting as an option. And I do come up number 1 for that. Can you believe that URL was available?
Yeah, that would be, I would have thought that would have been taken.
Yeah. But again, it goes back to this no plan B, never quit, never quit. I mean, come on, of course you got to quit, some things in your life are not good for you. Sometimes it's just time to move on.
I
And
can't
that's,
believe that we were actually in an event and that was going on, and people were buying into that. I'm looking at some of the comments. I can barely
yeah,
see, but yeah, no plan B. Of course, there's no plan. Of course, there's a plan B or C if you don't have that option, and 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 that's what happens. A lot of the times, people are getting lured in by this, and then the shiny objects are in plan A,
yeah,
and plan A have this group of people that will provide you with all the shiny objects in the world, promising you the world, you know, and they support your plan A. And then by the time, and I'll give you an example of this. I was at, and you were there too, in Vegas, and there was a guy I was talking to. His product was on the water. He was never, like, he just got an Amazon seller. He bought a course at 3,000 bucks. He had bought all the tools, so all the tools that you would think of, like the main
yeah,
tools that you need. So I can see Helium 10 or products like that, Sentry Kit. But he had also bought into these very expensive courses, like well, not courses, but these apps that you would hear. I won't mention any names, but oh, it's $12,000, and you'll have. He had spent $3,400 on recurring income. Okay, $3,400 on tools. He was at the event, $12,000 event, and people were just taking his money. And
yeah,
we've been at events where people go up on stage. They're very good pitch artists, and then they'll
yeah.
say, they'll have this oh, you got to do this. Line up at the back of the room. Well, it's only 20,000 instead of 30,000, and they're sold out. They
Oh, yeah,
they
people are running to the back. Yeah, yeah,
Absolutely. So, these things that we're talking about, the shiny objects are just not other plan Bs. And I think what's very important is that you touched on it, the pivoting. Pivoting is so important. So you've got your plan A or plan B or whatever it is. But when you spot that opportunity, like, how do you find new opportunities selling online? How do you find that pivoting point? Or
well, and
what are
that's the
some clues?
Yeah. Well, one of the things is, I mean, there are pitch artists out there. I mean, I watched a guy do a webinar this year alone, 4 different webinars where literally the language was the exact same. This is the if you buy nothing else, this is the thing. And you get to the point where, I mean, back in the day, there was one that was really like an amazing pitch artist, and he was a friend of mine. So I actually would text him. I'm saying, "Is this real? Should I buy this?" And he'd be like, "Oh, hell no." But he was
Oh,
pitching it as
no.
this great thing because that was his job. So that's why, affiliate marketer gets this, crazy stuff. So, or crazy reputation. I think the way you find it, the way is this the only thing this person is doing? I don't care how much money they're making. I'll tell you, when I'm doing Facebook ads and someone says to me, I spent $10 million last month on Facebook ads, listen to me, I will tune you out, because Facebook is going to treat you differently than they're going to treat me. Even though I spent $1 million on ads last year, I am a bump on a flea on the tail of a dog to Facebook with $1 million a year ad spend. I mean, they could care less. So I don't care what success the person I do care that the person who's pitching me, whatever they're doing, but I want to know, what has that success done for your students? Who are your students that have taken what you're teaching, and are they real people? Because again, someone like me, if you are pitching a program to someone like me and you show me everyone in the room is Kelsey's age or younger, doing something, and tell me that it's tech simple, I'm not going to believe you unless you have someone in the room who's over 40 or even over 50 that says, you know what, I did this and this worked. But I will tell you, this idea of plan B, where it comes in to people's detriment the most. And I talk about this book. I have a couple case studies in the book where someone in the early stages, when, there's always like these like coolness of certain online marketing, right? Private label. Oh, I have a brand, right? Or, this is different, that, oh, you're a wholesaler. Oh, you're, where the most successful Amazon seller I know is a wholesaler. He doesn't create his own products. He has millions of products of other people that he sells. But when it first came out, everyone was like, oh yeah, private label, and I'm going to have my brand. And I had this person come up to me at an event saying, I need you to introduce me to someone who is successful at this so that I can get, my head around it. And so, anybody who knows me at an event knows that I probably know everyone in the room, and I'm definitely going to be able to introduce you, no problem. And I said to this person, I've never done this before. I said, I will only do this for you if you allow me to introduce you to someone else first, because this person was incredibly good at wholesale, but did not want to be a wholesaler. It just didn't even think of it as something to do, right? This person was thinking that was like the redheaded stepchild, right? That's not what the cool kids are doing. And so when I took this person to meet this successful wholesaler, it was like, oh shit, I'm actually doing better than 90% of the wholesalers that are out there. And I'm busting my ass to get into a brand that I cannot afford to get into. I mean, that's what this person had chosen was incredibly expensive at that time to get into. And I'm not doing very well at it. Mm-hmm. And the minute that this person said, okay, you know what? I'm going to go in this direction, became one of the more successful wholesalers out there.
Yeah, I know who you're talking. Todd was just on.
Well, Todd was the person I introduced this person to. Todd wasn't that person. I didn't know Todd. Oh, God, no. Todd was, believe me, Todd was doing this when I was in diapers. Lord, I mean,
man, he is. I mean, that's an opportunity. He saw an opportunity. If you go and listen to, I know this guy, and you listen to Todd's story, and I'm not saying you. I think you've already heard it, but if you haven't heard Todd Snively's story, and what you wrote about is Todd Snively, finding the opportunity after he's been kicked between the legs 10 times.
Yeah.
But finding the right opportunity, sticking to it, building the tools around it. So not following shining objects, but focusing on that and just going forward and becoming $100 million later.
Right. And I will say Todd never did this thing where he said, oh, I can't go into wholesale because it's not shiny. So he sort of is not that example necessarily, except for he is the example of this is 1 foot forward, 1 foot forward. And the beauty of Todd is, and I talk about this in a second, we'll get to it, picks and shovels. But this person is, I took this person to Todd and I said, talk to Todd, because here is this super successful seller. And all these people that you're striving to be wish they had the income in the business that Todd had built. And that was a turning point for this person, because all they were told was that's the only way that things are successful. And then there are some things where, things just don't resonate with you. It's like, I don't want to sell. I have some, I don't want to buy crypto right now. It's like, if I have one person I trust who tells me what to buy, I don't want to research it. It bores me. It feels like math. I don't want to deal with that. So even if you came to me with that, I'm not going to jump in on it because it doesn't make me happy. It doesn't feel good. And I want to have fun. I mean, I'm doing this KDP thing now. I'll talk about it in the future if it works, but I don't care if it's really successful right now because I'm having a blast and it's just fun. I don't feel like I'm working when I do it, and when I'm sitting there placing Facebook ads, I feel like I'm working, I don't mind it, but don't get caught up in what other people's idea of success is for you. And
I forgot to mention that. Okay, so we're giving away the books. If you're looking for the book, it's #Wheel of Kelsey. If you want to enter it twice, it is, all you have to do is tag 2 people. Guys, I'm a little off today. It's been early morning, late nights. Elena knows how I handle it. I'm an old guy, if I go to bed after 10 o'clock, there's a problem. And these were definitely later than 10 o'clock. So if I'm not on it today, I am 100% sorry. But anyways, what I wanted to say is #Wheel of Kelsey, tag 2 people, you'll get a second entry. And the other thing I want to talk about is how, when you see, okay, you're on track for your product. So you're on Amazon, you see this Shopify thing, but how do you stop yourself from FOMO? And that happens here, by the way. So I was at this event, and there's other events happening like afterwards. You want to go out, but because of FOMO, right? So feeling of missing out. Well, it's the same thing with shiny object syndrome. So how do you stop yourself from FOMO or shiny object series? Because it's very easy. I get ads every single day saying, it's the next best thing. I want to click on it, and it's very easy to fall into the trap.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things is, unsubscribe to everything and don't, especially those 4 people that are selling everything under the sun and telling you it's the best thing in the world. But just, don't watch it because you get caught up in it. I mean, there's a reason that these webinars are working, right? Because that people do webinars is because they're working. But just, it's really just discipline. And I have been guilty of it. I mean, I remember, certainly when I was starting out, I'm going to have a podcast, I'm going to have a blog, I'm going to do this. And, I was still working. I didn't know any better. And even now when I know better, something comes up and I'm like, as a side gig, that would be interesting. But I'll tell you, it's really just, putting a note on your computer saying, I'm not watching it. If I watch it, I'm not buying it. Or certainly at the very least, calling someone who's already in it. Because, if you've been in this game long enough, I would say more than 50% of the time when people put up screenshots of success, I've at least heard of that person. Or I may just look them up online, because sometimes they have their little Facebook thing and they're saying this is a great course, and I might friend them and saying, is that true? And I'll tell you, I had a friend who did that with me, and I kept getting these PMs. He put up my first, oh my God, this works screenshot of his program. And I told people this works, but this is how much effort I put into it. And this is how much money I put into it. Because I'm not saying that Nare just said something about I told her people were a scam. And what I know a couple people in this industry who are pure scams, but what I think people do is they exaggerate. But I think the biggest disconnect between what people are selling and what you buy is people don't tell you, or they're not clear enough, or you don't hear well enough what it's going to take to make it work. So if someone comes to me right now and they said, I have $5,000 and I want to be an Amazon private label seller, I will say, do not do it, because you're going to need training. You're going to need inventory. You're going to need launch money. You're going to maybe have to make a product. $5,000 is not enough to start an Amazon private label business. And I certainly know there's a lot of lesser, ads running through like Craigslist and things like that are absolute scams. We can get you in for $100. But even in our industry of people that we know and care about, I think they underestimate for people how much it's going to cost to get in. And so people saying, oh, you're bashing Amazon. I'm not. I'm just saying, go in with your eyes wide open. And if you're looking for money right away, I have a description in this book about, you decide on January 1st to be an Amazon seller. You decide on January 1st to be a Shopify seller. Who gets their first sale and who gets money faster and who spends the most upfront? And it's no issue. But it's harder to be a Shopify seller at first out the gate because you don't have traffic coming in the door. But once you learn that skill, and I've been told this and I didn't really believe it, once you learn the skill of driving traffic, you can have any job in the world on the internet, because the internet revolves around people needing traffic, whether it's the local dentist down the street, whether it's your e-commerce store, whether it's an affiliate offer, And the other, people just are afraid to get started on something small. I mean, it took me from 2014 to 2017 to leave my job. And I don't regret it. I personally had to wait because at 25 years, I got lifetime medical coverage. So, if they had me cleaning the toilets for the last 6 months, I would have stayed, right? And I wasn't miserable. I just, the minute I decided to leave, everything freed up for me. Because I think part of the hard part of me needing to leave because of the stress was that this is never going to end, Yeah. And so the minute that you have an end date, you actually wind up freeing a little bit more of your headspace, which lets you go on at night and do something. I mean, there's a funny section in this book about how people make money online. I mean, there's a guy online who literally has a gig on Fiverr where he will shout your name into a bush for $5. And he has 93 reviews. So almost 100 people, more, probably because not everyone leaves a review, have hired this man to shout your name into a bush. Somebody else, this really brilliant guy, he's in some country that's very rural. He'll sing happy birthday with his cows or his goats for you for $10. And again, he's got like 17 listings and they each have like 27 reviews. So there's a million things you can do to put a toe in the water online and to see if this, this is something for you. Right? Just get comfortable, especially if you're older, Yeah.
What are you saying?
Not you, me.
Okay.
For the record, you are a little older than I am.
Okay. So one thing that I can tell you too, on that note, I experienced this about 2 weeks ago. I have an app. I've talked about it on the podcast before called Track Your Subscriptions. And I noticed a charge that came through for an extra $1,000. So anyways, I went and I tried to let them know that, look, at this was an oversight. It was $1,000 and they refused it. So what I did do is I disputed it, and the charge was turned around. I think they might appeal it, but I thought I had this on Track My Subscriptions. And Track My Subscriptions, if you put everything that you're using or buying or paying recurring revenue on, you'll see a notification that pops up. How many times, like anybody listening here, have you been dinged because you've bought shiny objects and you're continuing to pay for them and you have no idea that reoccurring charge is going to come up? So I'm just saying that if you do get into this, you want to make sure that, that course or this thing, that tool, that app, that you track it and that you know when it's coming. Give it a week beforehand and either get rid of it. If you haven't used it for a year, get rid of it. You don't need it. And there are so many. I think the first time I used it, I was able to take about $3,000 of recurring income, like right off the top, $3,000.
Oh yeah, that doesn't surprise me at all.
Monthly.
Not at all.
Monthly.
Yeah, monthly. I did almost 1,900 when my bookkeeper made me do it. And I'll tell you, one of the things, I had been out of Amazon, this private label space, for 4 years. I was still paying for something on your phone. I don't even know what it's called. And I don't want to diss these people because I bought it and I wanted it where you scan something and it tells you the prices or the listings on Amazon. It was one of these apps. And it was like $10 a month for like 4 years. And I hadn't even opened it. I hadn't done anything on it. So I totally agree with you on that. Yeah. But it is, that's the other thing. This was like the joke about me in law school. Whenever the test came up, I would go out and buy these guides, or find these guides, like these, a guide to this, contract course by so-and-so, and they sell them and it was, I could do it because I was selling my notes because I take really good notes in school. So to make money in law school, I was selling my notes and I would take that and I would buy these professional guides. It just made me feel better. I don't think I read it. I don't think I learned anything from it, but I just felt like that was my preparation, was to go buy this, outline from a professional, which is, ridiculous. And so, yeah, but I that's why I say I just totally understand the temptation, especially now with automation. And that's not, again, automation can be a shiny object and it also can be huge, right? If you're spending, like I'm doing this thing with KDP where I have to format these books. I don't want to do that. Like, that is not the smart, fun part of this job. So I hire someone to do that. Like, it took me like an hour and 10 minutes and to do the first 10, and I got it down to 40 minutes, and that's still 40 minutes too much. And this guy on Fiverr, can probably do 4 in an hour, because I don't know the different shortcut keys for DocX on Word. And I don't want to know, I don't care to know. So, that's the other thing. I don't think we outsource fast enough. So I do think that automation and tools are good. You just have to make sure, like you said, you're on top of them. Do I still need them? Yeah,
Well, you just touched on outsourcing. When you start looking at these shiny objects, how do you outsource? When do you outsource, and why?
Number one mistake people make is they don't think about outsourcing soon enough. You definitely need to know how to do everything that is recurring. Like I outsource website building. I will never learn how to build a website. I don't care to learn how to build a website. I know there's, on WordPress, there's Elementor, and on Groove that you can put stuff in. But when I initially get a website built, I outsource that. I don't care. I don't want to learn that first. But things that are going to be happening in your business every day, like I don't build a website every day. I build every so often. So when when you start doing anything and you get to the point where you can go from point A to point B, make a video of yourself doing it, and then talk through the video. Okay, I'm opening this file. And then when you have that video, either put it into Otter AI and have it transcribed, or send it to someone and now you've got your SOP. And do not wait until all these, say I didn't have any SOPs and I had a viral product take off on Amazon, and I went from 100 or 200 sales a day, which was quite a lot, to 1,700 sales in one day, literally in one day. And there was we were still manually doing these. My VA who came from Amazon and learned Shopify with me, we are still manually ordering these. Who I called was Todd, and I said, oh my God, what do I do? And he's like, and he happened to be painting his offices that day and had 2 workers that were in need of work. And so literally that's what we did. And then I called my another friend, John, who knew somebody who could go on Facebook and answer comments, on the ad. It would just, so don't wait till that happens. Just if I had done this, because I was online for like 8 months by then on Shopify, and if I had just had something that said, when an order comes in, go to this site, click on this button, put in this name, and I didn't do it. So yeah, number one mistake, do it, write the stuff up fast enough and get out of, number one, what you don't like, and number two, what's not making you money. Even if you do like it, there's parts of the stuff that's rote. I mean, in a way, I think I could have been a bricklayer in another life. I love like mindless, I have a very Zen way of just like, oh yeah, mortar. Oh gosh, it's a brick. I could do that all day long, but it's not making me money. And so if the road stuff isn't making you money, you got to get rid of that. You got to outsource it and do the creative part that only you know how to do.
Okay, so I know that there's some questions, and if you don't have your questions in, please let us know. Let us know if you have shiny object syndrome. Let us know if you've got scammed. Let us, it'd be interesting to see some of the comments that come in about that. The other thing I want to talk about, Elena, is just a bit more about the book. So, did we touch on everything in the book?
Not yet. I did see one comment come up where Nare said, I told her 5,000 was good enough for what she was doing, which was, if you remember, Nare, wholesale. I'm not saying you're the person in that example. I wouldn't do that, but it was also many years ago. And many years ago, you could start Amazon private label for $5,000. I mean, when I started, I started with that. So the world has changed. And that's the other thing. If you're learning from people who are telling you this is working, like I see this guy now posting these screenshots from November and December of last year about how good he's running Facebook ads. And I'm like, dude, show me March, April, May, June of this year when iOS kicked in and all of the Apple users are opting out of us stealing their data and all of their privacy. Show me that screenshot. Like if someone is working right now in Facebook ads and they're not showing you a screenshot in the last 3 months, they are not successful, because anybody who has that successful screenshot is going to be parading that around like it's a freaking Emmy Award. I mean,
right.
Things have cycles. That's the other thing. Things have cycles. The old joke used to be people found a way to do something. It's not a joke, it's the truth. And then they milked it dry, and then they taught a course on how to do it while there was still a little bit left, and then it went away. So anyway, the book is three parts to the book. And the first is basically how I left, like my journey from being an entrepreneur to being an attorney. But within that journey, it talks about all of these things. So it's not just I woke up and then I did this, and then it's not really about me. It's just using the framework of my journey to show you what was happening back then and how people were getting to Amazon, how people were getting to Shopify, print on demand, t-shirts, things like that. The second is the world of e-commerce. What's out there? How can I make money online? And I just break it down. These are the ways you can make money online. And that's where we get into this guy yelling into a bush. I don't recommend that particular gig, but a lot of people think they don't have skills or business skills. And what they don't realize is their everyday skills are absolutely, transferable to the business world, but they just weren't taught to think of themselves that way. Mm-hmm. And then the third section is basically, I have a sort of, prison lawyer theme going through it. It's like, what are the prisons in your mind that are holding you back? And then here are the keys to that prison. And so many of these things that are holding us back are really things that we create in our minds, like, oh, I don't have any business skills. Okay. You have 3 children and they have piano and soccer and tennis and play dates. And, you are a project manager of a team of little virtual assistants. I mean, you've got these skills where you can organize, where you can schedule, where you can budget. And those can be transferred to the real world. But women, especially of a certain age, we were not taught that being an entrepreneur was an option. I had billions more opportunities than my mother, who had secretary, teacher, and nurse. That was it. Secretary, teacher, nurse, housewife. And God forbid you take housewife and be a nurse or housewife and be a secretary. It was one of those 4 things. I had millions of opportunities, but one of them was not business owner. One of them was not entrepreneur. No one ever suggested to women of my generation that was a possibility. That, we saw some people doing it, not really, they were usually geeks in the garage with, computers, or very wealthy people, parents, who set them up in some sort of business. But the word entrepreneur did not enter my vocabulary till I was well into my 30s. I didn't even see it. I didn't even know about it.
Yeah, those are
And
very good points.
yeah, and so this is the book is sort of saying, look, wherever you are in this journey, there's a route for you to get into the online world. Now, if you're getting on it, if you're buying the book to learn like a step by step, open this tool, do this. No, it's basically this is an opportunity. This is what the opportunity looks like, and this is what you got to get set in your head to take advantage of it. You know, maybe the next book will be how to do this, how to do this, how to do this. But it's really saying to people, and especially giving, you know, a lot of it. And I found this out when I was a lawyer too. I would have these lawyers come to me and really stressed out. They were in a trial. They wanted help. And they would say, this is what I want to argue. What do you think? And, you know, it was their case, their client. They knew their jury. They didn't care what I thought. What they wanted was permission. What they wanted was someone to say, this isn't stupid. So this is your permission. If you're underemployed, you know, employed in a job that you loved, you were a nurse, you were, you know, like me, it's like, I thought I was doing, and I was doing God's work. I was giving voice to the voiceless. I was representing people that no one cared about. And I was putting my heart and soul into it. And it was a calling. And I tell the story in the book of when I was thinking about leaving, how guilt-ridden. Part of it was sort of a hero comp. Who's going to take care of these people if I'm gone? You know, well, there's 670 other public defenders in LA County, maybe one of them. But that wasn't how I thought. I thought I was relinquishing my responsibility or shirking off something. And I've told this story on your podcast before. I was at church one day and my friends were in the front and I'm in the back, of course, and services are over and they're talking to this man and they're like this and they're like pointing at me and they're doing this thing with their hands and pointing at him. And so he walks over to me and I said, I think I'm supposed to talk to you. And he goes, yeah. He goes, I heard you're thinking of leaving your job that you think is a calling. And I said, yeah. And he goes, and you have guilt. And I'm like, yeah, like, who's this dude? Like, yeah. And he goes, well, I used to be a priest and it was a calling for sure. And I left and now I work with homeless youth and blah, blah, blah. And he says, so he goes, if you're looking for permission, he's like, it's called chapter 2 and you're allowed. I was like, oh, shoot. Oh. God shot right there. I was like, whoa. And so I put this in the book. It is called chapter 2 and you're allowed. And I got to tell you, now I'm looking for chapter 3. I mean, I've had this great time. I feel like, you know, when you're online and you're in e-commerce and you're doing this and you know this, it feels like you're like in the mix, right? Like you're at the track betting on the horses. I mean, bad analogy, but I mean, you're in the day to day. And it's like, now it's like, I want to start making an online, I want to do less. And so my chapter 3 is going to be pulling myself even further out of my business and still having a real passive income. And you cannot start with a passive income. There is no such thing as a start passive income. You have to build something for years and years to get a passive income. And all these gurus who talk about this passive income, yes, it exists, but not without a shit ton of work at the beginning. And then it starts paying dividends.
It's work. Yeah, exactly.
But so a lot of it is fun. A lot of it's fun, right?
Sure. And especially if you don't mind
cigars at 10 o'clock at night.
That's networking.
Oh, right. That's networking. I forgot.
So, Kels, I think we have a bunch of questions here.
Yeah, so we have a lot of, I would say, comments and people sharing their experiences, but we do have a couple questions as well. From Simon, does Elena sell her own brand, all on Shopify or through other marketplaces such as eBay, US, or worldwide?
I do both. I have 3 stores currently right now. One is my brand, and that is like my branded store. The other is just pure churn and burn, whatever's trending. So like if it were 4 years ago and fidget spinners were out, they'd be up on my store. And the third is a hybrid, which is we take something that was selling pretty massively from like AliExpress and we fix whatever was wrong with it. And that has been my most successful, is just tweaking something a little. So my private label background helped that very much. I don't sell on eBay. I'm not saying you shouldn't. I just never got into it. And the third part of the question, I forgot already.
International.
My personal brand is USA only, and that's because it's sort of a USA kind of brand, like America. America. Like you can't really sell like guns and the flag internationally, and the rest is internet. It'll be international because that's like trending stuff.
Okay, great. This one is from Rad. So Rad, I've had a Shopify store for more than a year, but the sales are minimal. Is it because we're not a dropshipping site?
No, it's because you're not getting traffic. So people who come to your store don't know whether you're drop shipping or not. So it has nothing to do with that, except for if you're drop shipping, you can test multiple products at once. And if you just have a Shopify store, say for your Amazon brand, then it could be your product. It has to do with how you're bringing in the traffic. A lot of Amazon sellers, I know one of the most successful Amazon sellers called me and said, hey, let's partner. And I thought, I'm not sure this is going to work, but I'm happy to do it. And we tried, and he could not he just would, and I believe this. I mean, God, the man knew more about Amazon than I've ever, learned. He had to have a certain price for the product because that was the price on Amazon. And that item was not going to be able to sell with paid advertisements because he was sending the the buyer to Amazon. So there was no money left by the time we acquired a customer. And I could have sold his item for $20 more on Facebook and social media, but he didn't want to do that because he had this branded item. So it could be that your item is such that if you're sending traffic to the Amazon store, number one, it might be an item people know and they go to Amazon. I mean, that is the killer for a social media ad. If someone goes away from your social media ad and starts to price compare your item, you're probably going to lose, because if they're on Amazon, number one, they wouldn't be ranked on Amazon unless they had a low price or one of the lower prices. So it's either the product or the traffic that you're bringing in, but it has nothing to do with whether or not you're drop shipping, other than the fact that we can test over and over again. We can put up 15. I mean, I put up on one of the stores, we put up 6 products last week. I mean, and you know what it cost me? Nothing. We copy and pasted pictures, and I wrote, so what, an hour of my life. And those 6, and now we're having to place ads to those products, but we're testing those products. So in that sense, a drop shipping is you're more likely to find a winner because you just have volume. But if you have a good product and you're not getting sales on Shopify, it has to do with the quality of the traffic you're bringing in and the amount of traffic.
And I do want to go back to a point that you brought up a little while ago. And I think Nari was talking about it, that $5,000. So I know, like, I get this quite often, is that somebody might look at an old Manny Coates video that we might have done together, on AM/PM podcast.
Yeah.
And people will be looking at it and saying, hey, look, when you did this, you said boom, boom, and boom. That's 2017.
Yeah.
And so it's tough because videos live on forever. But when you're watching videos, when you're watching training, or when you're going out onto YouTube, search by date.
For sure.
Because things change all the time.
And look very closely at screenshots for the dates of those successes.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And like one of the things, I give 2 thumbs up to Kevin King, Freedom Ticket. Freedom Ticket just launched version 3. So he's gone through. Yeah. I know how much work he's put into it. And he's created all new content to bring it up from the 2 years ago or 3 years ago. Yeah. He was always revising, but it's a complete overhaul, and you have to do that. So
one of the first courses I bought was exact match domains, where you'd be like, best shoes for Zumba.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And that was, and we finished the course like 2 weeks before, I don't know if it was penguin, panda, whatever animal they were killing to do their Google up change. Right. And then you were penalized for having this. So here we had spent these 3 months, and I can't get mad at the people who were selling the course because we didn't know that. No one knew that was coming.
Yeah.
But I would get mad at them 6 months from then if they had tried to sell that course.
Right.
Because it didn't work anymore. So, and people don't get, the internet is, exponential in terms of years. I mean, 2017 was not 4 years ago. It was 40 years ago on some of these platforms, right? Yeah. I mean, look at what we could get away with in Amazon on 2014 and 16. And it was craziness. It was like in the old days when you wanted like your Google site to rank, and you would just put the keywords, and then you would make the text white so that you didn't see all the keywords that were on the page. I mean, you can't do that anymore. And you can't, you have to be up. That's such a great point. And so good for Kevin to update it, because, Even the things that we paid we were on the stage, but that those people paid what, $15,000, $12,000 to go to, they don't work anymore. The things we were talking about in Cancun. And I'll tell you what, Mandy Coates is one of the most successful people in this space, and he doesn't sell on Amazon. He sold service. Oh, that's what I was going to say. You know, the most successful people I know are selling the picks and the shovels to the people who are digging for gold. And some of those people are actually selling relevant, important, useful picks and shovels like Helium-10. And some of those people are just selling old, outdated courses or shiny objects. So you have to decide, you know, who you're buying your picks and shovels for. But you as a person not in this market space, you have a pick and a shovel that you can sell right now. I don't care who you are. If someone just wants to pop on and say, I don't have anything. I mean, you probably wouldn't be here if you didn't think you had any inclination to be online, because you have to know about this podcast. But, you know, you might be a writer. You might be a photographer. You might, you know, just know how to organize things. You might be a bookkeeper. All of these skills, now they're gig work, but you can turn gig work into a business, you know, and I talk about that in the book, how you can, you know, the difference between gig work and business owner. And you start, if you're there, you have nothing to lose by starting with gig work. You have nothing to lose by putting up an ad on Fiverr and saying, I can do this for your business. Oh, what, you hate writing copy? I love writing copy. Jessica Rabbit says she's a lawyer. It's like, I don't, you know, you said I've been a public defender for 25 years. I've been an attorney for 30 years. I've been a marketer for 30 years. Lawyering is marketing. We are selling the story of our client's innocence. We are selling ourselves to the jury to believe us. We are marketers. That is, I think, one of the huge advantages I had when I got into this game. I know how to talk to people, and I know how to say things in a way that are persuasive. And so, you know, I always joke around and say, oh, I got into online marketing the traditional way. I went to law school and I worked as a lawyer for 25 years. But everything in your past is a marketable skill. And people who sell the picks and the shovels, I mean, honestly, if you look at it, even Todd does amazing stuff with the courses and the programs
His
that he
apps.
sells.
Yeah.
I mean,
absolutely.
and they're great. They're useful. They're helpful. I mean, the people who are really successful at it are people who are really helping people, I think.
But you
can
just
only
got to
stay on
go
for so long.
through. I think you've got to just look through the smoke
Absolutely.
and find the ones that are the best. You know, and it's hard to do sometimes.
It's really,
It really
especially when
is.
that excitement builds up in you when you're watching this webinar and you think, oh God, I could have that much money. Wow, wouldn't that change
Save
my life?
50%, and there's within 2
$17,000
hours.
value. Yeah. But sometimes I watch them just to see how well, you know, they're all the same. And you guys will see this. I mean, if you're on this podcast, you've been inundated with ads on social media for making money online. And before you just get caught up in the hype, you say to yourself, okay, next they're going to have a slide that's going to talk about the value. And then they're going to have that all add up to a big number. And then they're going to have the real number, but it's not the real number. They're going to cross that number out.
Yeah.
And then they're going to tell you there's a bonus that's only for the 50 people because they don't want you to think about it, even though everybody gets the bonus. I mean, it's really.
Yeah. And then when you buy it, there's a one-time offer that comes up that you can only take within the next hour. Yeah, we all get it.
Expiring today. I mean, literally, you know what? Maybe we should do that. Maybe we should say to everybody watching webinars, write down the list so you know what's coming. And then, you know, that way you don't get all hyped about it. Oh. But yeah, it's interesting. I do think, you know, and I'd like to think that the majority of people are I don't know, maybe I can't even get it out. I can't say it. I think there's a special few people in this world. And I think when you resonate with someone, that is, you know, where you should go because you feel it. You feel it. I mean, again, it's permission. You know, they talk about like in women's safety classes all the time. And I know this from my personal experience. And ladies, you know this too. There's a feeling we get in our gut when we're walking through a parking lot and we know to pay attention to it. We know. And it's the same thing. Yeah, Jessica, we're storytellers. It's the same thing with these courses. Like if someone seems shady, you know, people tell you who they are if you listen closely enough. People will tell you. And you will feel an energy, you will feel a vibe from them. It's just most of us do not pay attention to that. And I mean that in your as a public defender dealing with criminals for 25, I mean that in your personal life too. If you're dating somebody and you get that feeling, you're probably right. You get that something's off, something's probably off. You know. something's probably off. Anyway,
All right,
life
Kels.
lessons.
All right. We'll do one more question from here, from Jessica Rabbit. And let me see. So, can you talk about your learning curve about driving traffic to your sites?
Yeah.
Elements, procedures, timings, measure of successes, tools,
Procedures,
anything
timing.
that could help someone.
When I got home from China, I put up a Shopify store thinking that I knew everything because I was a successful Amazon seller. And in my first 2 months, I had a $48,000 screenshot of revenue. And I posted it in the group I was in. And everyone's like, wow. And I literally did it as a learning lesson because I lost $15,000 that month. Because I didn't understand, I have to buy the goods still. I wasn't really paying attention to the ads and the cost of the goods. I actually lost money, but I had a screenshot that said because the $48,000 was true revenue, but it didn't talk about my back end. My back end, as I'm sitting here right now counting refunds, my back end is $30,000 a month. So if I make $30,000, I break even. All right. Just with all the employees and things I have going on. Call center, because when you start doing volume sales, you need people to answer the phone. You need a lot of working parts. So I found success. I found how do I drive traffic? That was the issue, and the learning curve was steep for me. I didn't know how to do a website. There were terms I didn't understand. Even having been an Amazon seller, I was over the moon that Amazon did all my customer service until I realized that meant Amazon owned all my customers. So it took a while, and it was really important for me to get into the mindset of having beginner's mind. And one of the things that helped me when I started that a lot of people don't have, obviously, is because I had this success. I was able to buy up these, one thing about hitting a lot of unprepared success in your fourth quarter is that you have all this money and nothing to claim as a tax write-off against it. So I was literally going to gurus saying, I know you have this program. Can I pay you $10,000, but not do it till January? But I just need to get rid of this money. So I don't recommend that as a way of doing it. But what I learned from that was that you can pick out these things cafeteria style, right? Like, okay, I can use this for this and I can use that. And this works here. So for me, the issues, you have to sort of educate yourself on what the platform is. So for instance, on Facebook ads, if I have 100 people that visit my website, I want, that see my ad, I want of the people that come to my site from seeing my ad, they click on the ad and they come to my product page. I want 10% of those people at least to add my product to their cart. Okay, so if 100 people have clicked and seen my page, I want 10 of them to at least add my product to their cart. And then after that, I want half of those to initiate checkout. And then I want another 75% of those to buy. I prefer half that add to cart to buy. So you get these little like key indicators of what is good. And in almost every platform, there's a group out there and people will generally agree on what those are. Like I know if I have a product that sells for $40 that I can spend $40, $39 to acquire a customer, right? Or actually no, because I have to buy the product. So let's say the product's $10. So that gives me $30 to acquire a customer. So I can't right now track purchases on Facebook because it just doesn't work anymore with the way that the data protection of iOS comes in. But I know generally that if I can get an add to cart for $4 or $5, I'm doing well. So it's experience. It's asking for other people's experience. Most people are pretty friendly in groups like that. And there's like a curve that you'll see happening across all stores. And so you'll be able to say, hey, what is the cost per CPM, cost per million people or 1,000 people that see this ad? What's a good one for you? And so it's just finding those things. And in terms of timing for me, it took me about 3.5 months leaving Amazon to get to Shopify to really understand what I was doing. Yeah. And so that's the measure of success is you're bringing in more money than you're sending out. Yeah. But yeah, key performance indicators are really important, and you'll have to learn those because there's going to be a different one for YouTube, and there's going to be different for the US. If I get a click, I'll pay $1 for a click from the United States, but if I'm paying $1 for a click from Italy, I'm losing money, right? Mm-hmm. So I can't just say, oh, this is a good thing. I can say for Facebook ads, that is my indicator. 100 people, 10 add to cart, 5 buy.
And do you think Facebook ads is still a good option for Shopify?
a good option. It cannot be your only option unless you're very sophisticated. You have to be a very sophisticated marketer right now to do Facebook ads. It definitely, my revenue definitely took a hit, and I'm definitely scrambling with YouTube and influencers right now. So I'm really, really putting my nose to the grindstone this month and last month, trying to get that up before Q4. I would say as a newbie with Facebook ads, no, but if you get all the other factors, the number one biggest thing that I see that is helping is a really good creative. So spend your money on the creative, and you can always hire an agency that might have some background in this to place your ads. Your creatives right now are what Facebook is looking at. It's a hard place to get into unless you're doing like POD, because if you're doing like print on demand stuff, there's a lot of ways you can do that in groups and other things where it's a little bit easier. CPMs are lower. We just get clicks a little bit easier because, shirts and things like that are very impulsive and they're very niche targeted. You can really, if I'm selling an ice scraper, I can sell it to people in cold weather places who have a car, and that's just broad. But if I'm selling something about a labradoodle, you can really target print on demand. So you don't have to have Facebook do as much work as you do if it's just like a car. You own a car and it's,
Yeah, you can scrape
I
the
feel
ice off
sorry
your
for you guys.
labradoodle.
Yeah, I've never scraped the ice off a car before, and I made a lot of money selling an ice scraper. And I thought, wow, you guys have a lot to go through.
I really wish I've never experienced it.
I can't.
It's horrible.
I can't even look at pictures of it. I don't know how y'all do it. Once I had to put some hot water. I don't know. Luckily, I didn't own a car when I lived in Chicago, so that was helpful.
I have to buy one of your flaming pyramids.
Yeah. What was it? Fire pyramid. Yeah.
Fire pyramid.
Elena
was selling. It was pylons, right? Orange pylons.
It was a collapsible traffic cone. So if you had it in your car, if you got in an accident, you could pop it up, or you could have it in your car for soccer practice for the kids.
Yeah, and then you got classified as a firing pyramid.
My Chinese supplier wrote on the bill of lading that it was a fire pyramid. So it was held up in customs for months. And I had to pay all this money for the x-rays. Oh, goodness. Or the other one that decided I wanted a stronger box. So he gave me a box of Chinese branded cigarettes. And that was good because then all my stuff landed in the port boxed in Chinese cigarette pallets. No, that didn't work out either.
Didn't go that well. No. Yeah. Oh.
Yeah. Be very specific with your Chinese suppliers, right, Norm?
Very. All right, Kels.
All right, is it time for the wheel?
Do we have one more question?
Yes, Simon. Driving traffic isn't difficult. Driving the right traffic is difficult. How would you find the right traffic?
So back in the day, Facebook was creepy as heck. And, there was this wonderful cartoon I saw where this boy is on the computer and Mark Zuckerberg is leaning over him. And the little boy looks at Mark and says, Facebook, my dad says Facebook is spying on us. And then Mark says, he's not your dad. They know everything, right? They know everything about us. And it used to be, creepy as a person, but wonderful as a marketer. Yep. So here's my big tip for driving the right traffic. Be as specific as possible, but think like a buyer. So everybody, if you have something like a gamer, this is a great example I heard once. You have a gamer console or a gamer chair or a gamer mouse or mouse pad. Everybody's going to go after gamer, SimCity. I don't know the games anymore. I never did video games, but they're going to go after names of popular video games that this old lady has no idea what they are. They're going to go after maybe, software or Twitch. Was it called Twitch? Where I don't know, these things.
Twitch, Minecraft.
Twitch. And so, think about the other angle. So say to yourself, okay, if a person owns a labradoodle, if they like a food brand, they're more likely to own an animal than to just say, I like dogs, right? So don't go after the dog only, go after the food brand, or go after, if it's a gamer, what else are they doing? And this may be stereotypical, and I'm sorry in advance for anyone who's under 30 in their parents' basement playing a game right now, but I'm guessing you don't cook. So you might go after frozen food meals. You might go after certain snacks, Mountain Dew, right? I don't understand this. I just know that Mountain Dew is popular, right? Am I right with Mountain Dew?
Mountain Dew, you're good to go.
So find I had a sink stopper that looked sort of funky, and I called it an alien sink stopper, right? which was dumb, but you have a name on it. It has a name, right? And I know that a lot of new moms that I was seeing were bathing their babies in the sink, not a tub, which of course I don't have kids. I didn't know this. So I made a copy about how the fact that it's not like other toppers that had like a thing that popped up that, might hurt or that were metal. So I'm like, oh, your baby sits on soft silicone when so what is an alternative way of getting at that same person, which requires you to think a lot about it. So you don't have a customer, a massive avatar when you're a Shopify seller, because the avatar is per item, not per store if you're doing the drop ship churn and burn. So really dig into it. And if you're not familiar with it, call somebody who's familiar with it and say, oh, you're number 2 in the world at, building some city online, and elephants are, I don't know. And then ask them, what do you eat? What do you do? What are the inside jokes? What are the inside jokes in the insiders, things that people know? And that's a good way of finding really targeted traffic.
Right. Okay. Well, I think it is that time, isn't it?
Yep, I believe so. It's time for the Wheel of Kelsey. So,
right.
Elena, sit back and enjoy the Wheel of Kelsey.
It's like,
It's time for the Wheel of Kelsey.
There
All
we go.
So today's
oh
giveaway
my goodness.
we're doing 2 copies of Elena's new book, Quitting is an Option. And yeah, here we go. We'll shuffle it up. 3, 2, 1. All right, so the first winner is Jason. All right, and if you are a winner today, please email me k@lunchwithnorm.com. So congratulations.
That's a first.
Jason? Oh, Jason?
No, the applaud. Did you do
Oh,
that? Is
yeah.
that part of the? Did you add that?
No, it's part of the wheel. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That's funny.
All right, the next winner is Abu.
All right.
All right, so
Congrats.
again, congratulations, Abu and Jason. Please email me k@lunchwithnorm.com, and we'll get you your new book. All right.
Excellent.
Fantastic.
I might even
Good.
sign it. We'll see. I don't know. It's not as cool as what I just read from Nare. She still has one of my collapsible cones. Now, if I had those lying around, I'd send one out. Yes, there it is.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Now, one thing I should mention, because this is probably more important than anything we talked about today, but if you want to see Elena in action, she was actually featured in an A&E special.
48
Remember
hours.
that? Was it 48 hours? All
It
right,
was
one of
100
those.
years ago, and it's almost impossible to find. I had a case that was covered on television by 48 Hours as a criminal case.
Yeah.
It was. I was as thin as I ever would be, but they filmed it over several months, so you can see where they edited. And my sister would be like, "Oh, fat Elena, skinny Elena, fat Elena," and then she would call me and remind me every time it reran that, "Oh, I just watched. You lost again." So it's not good.
I just want to, let people know that they can see you in action as a defense lawyer, right? There we go.
I'd rather send you a tape of one of my good comedy performances. If the people will promise not to ever watch that 48 Hours.
That's like our first podcast.
I remember that.
All right.
All right.
So thank you for joining us today, Elena. It was awesome,
Oh, it's
like
been
usual.
fun.
And if people want a copy of your book, can you just mention it again and where they can get it?
Quitting is an Option. Amazon.
Yep.
Kindle
Very
or
good.
paperback. Paperback's pretty cool, actually. It came out pretty well. I hadn't done KDP before. And
Oh.
so, yeah. It's
Nice.
I like it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
amazing.
thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed your mug. Your Lunch with Norm mug.
Oh, yeah. Check that out. I did that. Yeah.
There you go. Yep. All right. So thank you. We will be talking to you shortly. We'll get you back on shortly.
Okay.
And Kelsey, what do we have going on?
Right, everyone. Yes, we have our big 200th episode happening on next Wednesday. So tune in. We've got our lineup set up, and it's going to be a lot of fun. You'll definitely recognize some of the names and the faces, and hopefully, we'll get to meet some of these people for the first time that have been commenting and engaging with the podcast for the last year and a bit. So it's always super great to meet the Beard Nation. So I'm very excited about this. And let me see. Oh, another big thing, Michael Kurtz, branding expert. He's been on a couple times, but we do special episodes with Michael. So this is your chance to send in your logos, your branding, your packaging. It can be whatever, but you can send that in to me, k@lunchwithnorm.com, and we'll do a review, feedback, critique on the podcast. So of course you have to be okay with showing your logo and your brand, and you can be anonymous if you want, but send that to k@lunchwithnorm.com, and Michael Kurtz and Norm are going to take a deep dive into your logos, and it's a lot of fun. Give you some pointers and what they think of the branding. So let me see, anything else? I think we got everything. Our Facebook group, Lunch with Norm, Amazon FBA and eCommerce Collective. Also, if you're looking for highlights, or maybe you missed the beginning of this podcast, you can go over to our YouTube channel, Norman Farrar, and you can find all of the different episodes. We're, like I said, getting up to 200 episodes. So yeah, we got lots to go through, and I think that's about it.
Very good. So on Wednesday, I've got an old friend of mine, Josh Shepard, that's going to be coming on, and he's going to be talking about the impact of COVID on marketing events and summits. This guy, he is incredible. I can't wait to talk to him because he's the smartest guy I know. By far, he's the smartest guy I know, and you'll hear about some of these things that he's into. But he's been involved with putting together a ton of virtual summits. He's put together apps for trade shows. He's one of the main guys in the business. Anyways, he's going to be talking about the impact of what COVID, the COVID on the marketing events, and what to look forward to into the future, and some new things that are happening, and why it's so important to get out there. Like I'm here and I'm going to another event in 2 weeks, but why is it so important to go out there and do virtual summits and go to events and meeting people? It's all about the networking and how you can build, not only friendships, but just people that you can count on. Being an entrepreneur is it's a lonely job, but being able to count on people and talk to them and get their advice, it really does help out. So can't wait. It's Josh's first time on a podcast, so I'm looking forward to it. The other thing I just want to talk to you about today is that every Monday we put out a newsletter. You can go over to normfarrar.com or Lunch with Norm and subscribe, and it's all content. It's just content, and more content, and a new one comes out every Monday. So that's it for me. Tune in every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Hopefully on Wednesday I have my voice back, and that's at noon Eastern Standard Time. Thank you for watching. It looks like we had a ton of engagement today. Elena's always a hit when she comes on, but we really enjoy you being part of this community, being part of the engagement. We grow every time, like with this community. As much as you engage, we grow. So thank you for being part of it, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Lunch with Norm.